Hi there everybody, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are looking at some of the positive things about HCMC which a lot of people do like when it comes to the company. So as you guys well know, we talk about HCMC quite often. I am actually bullish on HCMC. I know some people are not for some clear reasons, and that is completely fine. So let me just be completely honest with you guys. In this one, we are covering all of the good things about HCMC, and in tomorrow's episode, or some point very soon, we'll be covering all of the bad things about HCMC. The intention of this is to give a completely balanced view, so that in this video we can give the good, and in the next video we can give the bad. I'm sure you guys will understand that. I'm sure you guys will appreciate that. I just want to be completely honest with you because, like with every company, yes, it has its good but also has its bad, so I'm just reminding you guys of that. But we're looking at the company tonight and some of the positives of it. Again, if you may enjoy the video, do make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe as well. We're trying to get to 13,000 subscribers then on the road to 15,000. You can also join us on the Discord. Link to the Discord is down below. We have a Twitter down here which you can join. You can basically follow it by pressing at N2S Finance on Twitter. You can join us on Patreon. You will get a special name tag on Discord which will be in pink, and obviously you'll be helping to support the channel. But do remember that I am not a financial advisor and nothing which I share with you guys here is financial advice. But let's start off by looking at HCMC and defining what the company actually does. Now this is something which a lot of you guys will already know, but I'm just going to remind you for those of you who don't, because I think it is important to just get a look at what the company does. Now as the name does state, the company works to we utilize healthier choices and help people make healthier choices in their life. Now, if you have looked on their website recently, or if you have not, you will see a few new sections. Now, this I do find interesting because you guys will remember, if you've been here for a while, when we first started looking into HCMC, there was like 2 sections on this, then there was 3, now look, there's a few more than that, and it is actually growing and the company is doing good things. So this tells you about the 5 main segments of the business. Let's start off with the first one, which is HCMC and their intellectual property holdings. Basically, to sum things up down here, this is working on intellectual property, things like, the patents that we have, and the company is working on this area, as we see with the Philip Morris lawsuit, which we'll get into in just a moment, because people do think that is one of the best things about the company. So yes, this is an area of the company which they are clearly working on. On top of this, I actually have 4 healthy choice markets. Now these are the ADA natural markets. To sum things up, they're grocery stores or supermarkets, as we say here. And yeah, they're quite useful, they're quite good, but obviously they are only in Florida from what I can tell, so they are not necessarily accessible to everybody, but they are a cool feature to have. Now on top of that, they have the vitamin store. Now the vitamin store is online, it's thevitaminstore.com. It's basically an online source for leading products and all natural vitamins and supplements. And again, this really, for me at least, is a good way, a good thing that the company has done to help increase revenue, because let's think of it. Yes, we had this area before of vaping, we had this area before of the healthier choice markets, and arguably this one of the intellectual property as well. But the healthier choice markets, the food, basically not everybody can access it because, like I said, it's in a very specific area. When it comes to vaping, you're only selling vaping to a specific amount of people because, yes, whilst it is a lucrative area, not all of the investors, not all of the people who, want to support HCMC, they don't all vape. So actually diversifying and going into vitamins, I believe, is a strong choice. I think it is a very good choice that the company has made, in my opinion. Now, on top of this area, they actually have 7 vape stores across the United States, which is really cool to see as well. And again, the e-cigarette or vaping market is ever growing, and that is completely true. So it is good to see that HCMC do have their feet firmly planted in that area. So then we have the Q-Cup area, which we actually focused on in a video last night. I'm going to post about that on Twitter in just a moment, but yes, this is a really cool area that the company has worked on very recently. We'll look at that news article right now actually, because this talks about the new deal, basically from what I can tell, that Healthier Choices have struck with a company in Colorado to get their products sold there. So if you do want to see this, we covered it in more detail yesterday, but to sum things up shortly, you can see that this is scheduled for launch on the 10th of July. Yes, there is a soft launch coming in the upcoming weeks, but the full launch is scheduled for the 10th of July. And again, this is an area where the company is working to expand the business and obviously to improve the business as well. So I think this is actually a step in the right direction for multiple reasons. The simple reason, for me at least, is when you go onto their website and have a look at their business strategy, it outlines 4 clear things. It says down here that the Healthier Choices Management Corp has a business strategy which includes, but is not limited to, continuing to 1. Attempt to expand upon and monetize their patent suite. 2. Operate and potentially expand upon their 4 health and vitamin stores. 3. Operate and potentially expand upon their 7 retail vape stores. And 4. Seek out new attractive business lines with its mission of healthier choices to add to its portfolio. Now, we've looked at this before, guys, but as time does go on, I think this is becoming more and more relevant. Because yes, it's all good having this page here talking about the business strategy, but if the company is not putting this in play, it doesn't really mean anything. But from what I can tell with Healthier Choices, they actually are putting this into play. Let's have a look as to why. So the first area down here is simply explained as expanding upon and monetizing their patent suite. Now, we obviously have the lawsuit with Philip Morris, which is something which potentially will come out as a win for HCMC, and if they do win that, they will get some money, so they will have obviously been working on that, and they clearly are working on that by actually filing out the lawsuit in the first place, even if it isn't effective. So it does show that the company has some, initiative to basically work on this area, which is good in my opinion. The second area is to expand upon and actually operate its 4 health and vitamin stores. Now, first things first, so the health stores, yes, we haven't seen an expansion upon that yet, but the vitamin stores, well, the vitaminstore.com was only relaunched a few months ago, so they definitely are working on that already, so they clearly are sticking to their word there. Now here we have this one and this one, which I believe can be stuck into one if we look at what has happened in the past few days, which is of course expanding upon and operating their 7 vape stores and seeking out new attractive business lines. Now these two things for me do link back to that news article that we had about their products being sold in Colorado, because yes, they are potentially selling more vapes because of that, and they are obviously working with other businesses to add to their portfolio and obviously help to increase revenue streams as well. So I think that the company is sticking to its business strategy and it is actually working on it actively. So they already know that they have a lot of investors. They are definitely trying to stick true to those investors, in my opinion. And yes, they have done a few things, don't get me wrong, which people will not like when it comes to the way they have treated their investors, but that is for tomorrow's video. But I think, you know what, when it comes to the actual business strategy, they haven't done too bad so far, as they clearly are working on improving the business as time does go on. Now here we have the lawsuit, which a lot of you guys will already know of. The lawsuit is something which has been going on for some time now. This article on Global Newswire, if it will come up, will sum things up very, very simply. So it basically speaks about the fact that the lawsuit has been going on now. Well, the lawsuit, if it will refresh a page, so it basically speaks about this infamous lawsuit that we have heard so much about. Basically, Healthier Choices Management Corp have filed a patent infringement lawsuit against Philip Morris. Now, we've spoken about this multiple times before, so I'm not going to bore you with it. Most of you probably already know. But basically, HCMC think that Philip Morris have infringed upon their patent. This patent has apparently got 40 million users, roughly, and has been invested by Philip Morris with over $3 billion into their smokeless tobacco products. And when we look at this, yes, it could be a very promising lawsuit, and other people could say, you know what, this is Healthier Choices' attempt to get a lawsuit which is probably not going to work in their favour. Yes, it could be seen as that, but don't get me wrong, guys. Philip Morris, whilst it is the big player in the industry, they do not always win. So do remember that they don't always win. And let's have a look at who is actually representing HCMC, because I think this is a big deal when we look at the lawsuit, because HCMC is being represented by a law firm called Cozen O'Connor. Why is this significant? Well, Cozen O'Connor, if we have a quick Google search of their name and have a look at their ranking, Cozen O'Connor actually ranked number 67 of all American law firms. Now, 67 might sound quite a long way down the list, but when you counter in all of the law firms out there, it is quite a prestigious ranking. Now, you have to ask yourself, why would Cozen O'Connor take on a lawsuit that they thought they were going to lose and damage their reputation? Does that make sense? I personally don't think it does. So whether this actually matters in the long term, whether this will actually do anything, whether this will be relevant, I don't know. But I just think it is something interesting to look at. I do not think that they would have taken on this lawsuit if they didn't think they had a chance to win, but that is just my personal opinion when looking at Cozen O'Connor. So we have a very promising law firm representing them, and that is a good thing, I do believe. Now let's have a look at the structure of the shares for the business. Now this, for me, even being bullish on the company right now, is the downside, if I'm completely honest with you, because when we actually look at the numbers for the outstanding shares for HCMC, the numbers are definitely over 300 billion. Now if this page will refresh, I don't know why it's being so annoying tonight, but yes, if this will refresh, we will see that the numbers will be over 300 billion. So last time this was updated, even on the OTC markets, the numbers were roughly about 307 billion. Now since then we have had that rights offering, which some people do not necessarily like the thought of, but yeah, the rights offering happened, so clearly more shares could be out there now, as you could imagine. So let's have a look at these security details and see what the numbers do say. So yeah, about 308 billion shares out there as of the 1st of this month, and like I mentioned, that whole share offering could make the number larger. I know some people are going to see this as a negative for the company, and to be honest with you, I have nothing to say to that. It definitely is the downside of the business, or at least one of the major downsides. Now don't get me wrong, there are some bullish arguments to this as well. Yes, the number is extremely high right now, but there is also a possibility in the future for either a reverse split or a buyback if they are to win the lawsuit. Now obviously a buyback would be something that they need to do when they get their revenue a bit higher, whether it be through winning the lawsuit and getting a payout, or just building their revenue over time. A buyback would be an expensive thing to do, but do remember guys that they do not need to buy back 308 billion. They don't need to buy back this much, they need to buy back a few, don't get me wrong, maybe half of that number, but they don't need to buy back the full amount, just a fraction of that, so it's not necessarily going to be the full price that it would be to buy back all of these shares. I think that they would want to reduce this by at least half in my opinion, probably more, and again, would the company be willing to pay the money to do that? I do not know, you tell me, just make up your own minds on that based on what you can find. Now another area that we could go down is a reverse split. Some people see this as a negative thing, and it can be in some instances. It will mean that the number of shares that you have could possibly be less, but the value of those shares could be the same. So if I had £1,000 worth of shares of HCMC right now, and you know that equated to, let's say for example 10 million shares, just for an example, you know, if it was to go to on a reverse split of 1 to a million, basically, I would only have 10 shares of HCMC. Now again, that was a very radical example. The numbers are not the clear ones that are outlined right now, but you know, it's just an example to demonstrate. Now whether a reverse split will happen or not, who knows at the moment, it is still too soon to say, but it's not always a bad thing. For example, if we got a price up to about $4, we could potentially be listed on the Nasdaq, which would do great things for the company in my opinion. So when people say reverse split, don't always see it as negative, as some people do. Now people ask me all the time what my price target for HCMC is in 12 months from now, in a year from now, in 2 years from now. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it is very hard to say. HCMC is a gamble stock, don't get me wrong. I think that the company, regardless of the lawsuit, is a decent company. They have products which you can buy right now. It is a real company. But, you know, whether it's going to be, you know, valued at $1 in a year, whether it's going to be valued at 50 cents in a year, 10 cents, maybe even 1 cent, I do not know. It's very hard to predict because there are so many variables out there. But here's my final thoughts on HCMC. I think a lot of hope has been pinned on the lawsuit, which is fine. For a lot of people it is a big catalyst, but if you are waiting on the lawsuit, bear in mind it's not going to be a quick process. We had this article out here talking about this PTAB intervention, I believe it was, for the whole lawsuit, and this could take an additional 3 months on top of what we are already waiting. So if you are here for the lawsuit, don't expect to be here overnight and become a millionaire, as the chances of that happening are probably very slim. Now over time, the company will probably build its revenue, which will help them out generally. And obviously on top of that, if they do win this lawsuit, whether it be in a year or 2, that will also be a really big step in the right direction for the company. So I'm not trying to be negative at all, but I'm just giving you guys my honest thoughts. So when it comes to a price for HCMC in the next year, I just do not know. There are so many variables, but I think this one is a play which you should hold for at least 12 months, maybe even much longer than that. I say that if you're going to get into HCMC, you definitely should have a lot of patience, as we just do not know how long this lawsuit is going to take, or how long it is going to take for the company to build its revenue. And yes, it is a gamble on whether they are going to win the lawsuit or not anyway. So yes, please be aware of the risks, make sure to do your own research, but I think HCMC, if you are patient, if you're willing to take that high risk for the high reward, it definitely could be a play worth buying. Just some of my thoughts. Thank you for watching through till the end, but let me tell you about our Discord. So on your screen you will be seeing the N2S Finance Discord. Obviously it is split into multiple sections. Basically at the top we have updates from me and all that kind of good stuff. If you scroll down a bit further we have the main sections where we focus on cryptos, SPACs and other hot stocks including penny stocks, even stable growth stocks as well, and we even have a special AMC GME chat. If you scroll down you can see some research and DD from the community. We also have funny memes and you can see actual contributions from members down here. And again, if you do join us, it is completely free, link is down below. But if you do want to become a Patreon, you will actually get a pink sticker which will be displayed on your name. So your name will come up in pink as mine comes up in red down here, and that will show that you are a Patreon. But other than that guys, you can join completely for free down below. You do not have to pay anything if you do not want to. Thank you for watching, see you soon.